Hello everyone, welcome to this rules video for Strike, Spare, or Split. Today I am going to go over most of the rules and then we'll jump into the game and play a few frames, a few rounds, just to see what it's like in action. And then at the end of the video I will go over the scoring rules so you can see how to do that. So let's get started. Strike, Spare, or Split is a 3-card nano game, so you have your lane card, you have your score card, and your roll card, which is just a big bowling ball. Fortunately, it's a little lighter than a real bowling ball, for those of you who are familiar with bowling. Last thing you need is a pencil. So that's the whole game. The game is played over 10 frames. So what do I mean by a frame? A frame is one of these big boxes here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down here, that's 10 frames. After each frame, you calculate your score, or you can wait up till the very end of the game and calculate it all at once. And at the end of the game, your score total is how well you did. So each frame, there are 2 mini boxes in here, you see. And that means there are 2 rolls per frame. Some frames you might only roll once if you're doing well. You kind of skip the second one, and I'll explain how that works. So we won't play all 10 today, but I'll show you a few. So let's look at our lane card here. The lane card has a few sections. This bottom rectangle here, that's important for when you roll the ball. You can't cross any of these lines. You have to stay within the rectangle. This middle section here is full of icons that'll be important for your strategy and kind of how you plan out how you want to throw the ball. And then back here we have all the pins. And bowling, the goal of each frame is to knock down all the pins with your bowling ball. So that's what we're going to try to do. Looking up close at the pins, I want to point out a couple things. Let's get this in focus here. So at the bottom of each pin number, there's a little red arrow, or red line. I'm not sure if you can see that too well. Right in the center of the pin, there's a little red mark. So that's where we're aiming to hit. Strike the pin right at that red mark. There's also these horizontal lines for lining up your card. So let's get into the rules. So each frame, on your first roll of the frame, you're going to roll the ball in such a way that you place the card down, your roll card, down onto the lane card, so that you kind of create a path through these icons here with the edge of your card. So this path kind of crosses through a bunch of icons, and you'll notice I didn't hit the pin right on. The goal on the first frame is to hit this dead center, but in order to account for that, we can add spin to our roll. So that's what these numbers on our scorecard is here. So before you roll, you call out how much spin you're going to put on the ball, and if I had called out, in this case, 3, the corner of my card is lined up with that red line I showed you earlier, and we're kind of lined up on this dotted line. My roll card crosses through the 3, so that would be absolutely perfect. I kind of rolled the ball to the right here, but put spin on it, so it curved around, hit that just right, and knocked all of them down. So what we want to do then, each roll you make, first you call out your spin value, and then once you've declared a spin value, then you go ahead, you hover your card about 4 inches above the lane card, and you set it down quickly. You don't have to slam it, but you do it quickly so that you don't have complete control, and then you check to see what happens. So the first thing you check for is whether or not you threw a gutter ball. So a gutter ball in bowling is basically 0 points, and you completely missed it. So checking for a gutter ball, you got a couple things. First is the corner of your roll card within this rectangle that I told you about. So if the corner, bottom corner here, is anywhere in this little rectangle, you're good. But if it's below it, above it, or off to the sides, that's a gutter ball, and you automatically score 0 points. So I didn't mention you can't roll right-handed or left-handed, just like so. So also, as we go along, you'll see this. We'll be shading in these icons, kind of getting little power-ups or advantages. But if our roll card crosses through any shaded icons, we might throw a gutter ball, unless we're allowed a certain number of shaded icons. So you can upgrade this. At the beginning of the game, we aren't allowed any shaded icons. That's because these are all empty. Later on, we might upgrade that, and then we can pass through icons. But if you cross through any more shaded icons than you're allowed on this scorecard here, you've thrown a gutter ball, and that's 0 points. All right. So after you check for your gutter ball, then we calculate your score. So you check first for a strike then. So like I said before, if this is where I landed and I had declared a spin of 3, that would be a strike because I successfully hit that pin right where I'm supposed to with the right spin. If I hadn't called out the right number, say I was over here, that's a 2, I would be 1 off. So that's already 1 pin that I missed. If I had gone wild, gone rogue with my throw, and got a 5, that'd be 2 off, etc., etc. So I would have lost 2 points. Additionally, once you calculate how many pins you missed there, you also check to see if you've crossed through any negative value icons. Those will also deduct from your score. So if I had, once again in this case, thrown it like this, I was 1 off because I called a 3. So that's only 9 points out of a total of 10. I also take off 2 more here for this icon. So I would have only scored 7 for that roll. Alright, so after you check for your strike, if you don't get it, you calculate your score based off of the difference of your spin and any negative value icons you cross through. Lastly, you also check if you got a split. So let's say again in this case, I rolled like that, I scored my 7. You check if you were also passing through one of these double arrow icons. That's a split icon. That's bad. You don't want to do that. If you do, then you will circle your score on that frame for that first roll, and your second roll is going to get a lot tougher. So I'll kind of explain that as we go into the playthrough. So first, check for a gutter ball. Second, figure out if you got a strike. Third, you calculate your score and check for the split. After that, as long as you did not get a gutter ball, you get to upgrade. You get to shade in an icon. So you get to pick one of the icons that you pass through. So I'd have this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, maybe this one in the corner, I'm not sure. And I can pick one of those, shade it in with my pencil. Doing so is going to get me a variety of benefits. Now, like I mentioned earlier, also doing so makes it more likely for me to throw a gutter ball later. So it's kind of good and bad. You're going to have to decide based on where they are and what they are, what you want to do there. If you threw a gutter ball, you do not get to shade in an icon. Alright, so that's the first roll. Second roll, so let's say I had rolled that 7. Second roll, I had 3 pins left that I missed. So instead of aiming for this 10 here, I'm going to aim for the 3. Otherwise, the rules are basically just the same. If you had rolled a split, your second roll must pass through 2 star icons, 2 unshaded star icons, in order for it to not be a gutter ball. If I miss going through 2, with my roll card, if I miss going through 2 star icons like this, I only went through 1, that's considered a gutter ball as well. So that's 0. That's only if it's a split. If you didn't get a split, then you're free to just go for the 3 like normal. All right. So that's the basics of the game. Let's play a couple rounds here and see how we do, and then we'll go over scoring. All right. So first frame of the game, I am going to try and probably go up the right side here, and we'll see. So hovering the card above here, I'm going to declare hopefully around a spin of 3. So 3, 2, 1. All right, so you hold the card in place. I usually put my other hand on it, kind of hold it in place. And like I said, first thing you do is you check for gutter balls. So my corner is in the rectangle, that's good. And I haven't passed through too many shaded icons because there are none yet. So did not throw a gutter ball. Next thing, you check your for a strike. And I had said spin of 3. Well, unfortunately, it looks like I'm coming through the 4 here. Probably hard to tell on the camera. So I'm 1 off. So already only got a total of 9 maximum. And then I check for additional negative points and splits. So 9, looks like I got a -3 there. No splits though, that's good. So a total of 6 points. So I'm going to write that in on that first box. So that was my first roll of the first frame. Alright, now I get to choose one of these icons that I pass through. I am going to, so just as an example here, this icon is a spare icon, and if you shade that, that will guarantee you knock down all the rest of the pins on your second roll. So maybe I'll try that. I'm going to shade in this spare icon, and that guarantees for my next roll I get a spare. Spare is kind of one line going from bottom to top, left to right. But in order to do that, I also have to shade an additional icon, not split icons and not negative ones. So I'm going to shade this other spare guy up here, and you don't get the benefit of that second icon. So kind of good and bad there. Alright, so that was my first frame. Kind of cheated a little bit to get that second roll. Alright, second frame. Let's see what happens. Obviously I'm not allowed to pass through a shaded one here. I kind of blocked my way getting to that bowling or gutter ball icon. So let's maybe go for this gutter ball. I'll put a spin of 2 on this. So 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, hold it in place. Check for gutter balls. My corner's in. I didn't pass through any shaded icons. That's good. Now I said 2, and what am I at? Look at that. Perfect. I'm at 2. So that is a strike. Hip hooray. Strikes are denoted, sorry for the spinning, strikes are noted by X's on that first one. And then because we got a strike, we'll skip immediately to the next frame. But before we do, I get to shade an icon. And I really wanted to shade this gutter ball here. That's going to allow me to pass through now one shaded icon without throwing a gutter ball. So now you shade on here. Alright? Alright, third frame. Let's quick go for it. So now I am allowed to go through here. Let's kind of go up the middle again. Actually, I'll show you left-handed. I'm terrible left-handed, so we'll see. I'll put on a spin of, let's try to get nice and close. Spin of 1. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so hold that in place and check for a gutter ball. My corner is in. I'm not passing through any shaded icons. I was allowed 1. And then now I use the other side of the card for left-handed. Looks like I'm pretty much just dead on, so that's actually 0. 1 off of what I said. So already that's 9 points. And then we check if I cross through any negative icons. I'm not sure what these two are here. There's a -2. So that's 7 points. And I don't think I was actually crossing through that one. So 7 points, but you'll notice I'm also crossing through a split. So how we mark that, you write 7, and then you circle that. That means now my second throw, I have 3 pins left remaining, so I need to aim for that 3, and I need to either pass through these 2 stars, or these 2 stars in order for it to not be a gutter ball. So that's going to be kind of an extreme angle, but it's not that far from the 3. So let's call that a spin of 3. 2. We'll say 2. All right. 3, 2, 1. All right. I'm doing pretty good here, I think. So gutter balls, none here. I passed through 1 shaded icon, but I'm allowed that because of this. Now, and I did pass the 2 required stars, so that's good. And I said, what, 2? Unfortunately, it looks like that's going through the 1 there. So I'm 1 off. And I'm also I totally forgot to shade in an icon that last time. I'm also -2. So even though I didn't get a gutter ball, that's 0 points there. But I do get to shade an icon. I'm going to shade this pro icon just to show you what that does. Shading a pro icon means you can erase another shaded icon. So I might like erase this one, and then I can regain its benefit later. So that's what pro icons do. So that's enough playing through the frames. I'll just quick go over the icons we didn't hit. If you shade in a negative icon, that means no longer will that reduce from your score in later rounds. So you're kind of helping your score out later rounds. If you can shade in the splits, and then you will avoid getting splits later. So that's good too. These the last one is the lucky icon. If you shade in a lucky star, or a lucky shot they're called, then you get to outline 1 lucky shot on your scorecard. Now, in the future, you can spend that lucky shot to improve your roll. So let's say I had called out a spin of 3, and I went like that, and I got 4. Whoops, I'm 1 off. You can use a lucky shot to adjust your declared spin by 1. So pretend I said 4 instead of 3. So that's what the lucky shot does. Basically, instead of now not getting the strike, I got it by spending that lucky shot. So I think that's all the icons and pretty much all the rules. Let's quick go through scoring. So I'm just going to quick fill in the rest of this scorecard, and then we'll score it together. If you already know, this is uses normal bowling scoring. So if you know how that works, you do not need to watch the rest of this video. But I'm going to say got an 8 and a spare, got a strike. It's doing really well. I got 2 more strikes. Then I got a gutter ball and picked up 8 more of those pins. Got a 9 and a spare. Now you'll notice this last frame has 3 boxes. That extra box is only for if you get a strike or a spare in one of these first 2. That will help. So let's say, otherwise, if you didn't knock all 10 pins down in 2, you actually skip that last one. So let's say I got a 7, picked up the spare by getting the last 3, then I get 1 more roll, and I got a strike. Ended on a good note. So let's score this. Normally you can be scoring a running tally as you go along. So how you score? Normally if you don't get a strike or a spare, it's just the total. But if you get a strike or spare, it kind of adjusts the rules a little bit. So a spare means we did knock all 10 down, so this frame is worth 10, but the spare adds the next roll into the score. So this is 10 plus my next roll, which was actually 10. A strike was 10 pins. So that means this frame, first frame, is worth 20. Now we kind of do a running total. So this frame is worth 10 for the strike, and strikes add in your next 2 rolls. So the next 7 and unfortunately 0. So 10 plus 7 and 0 is 17. 20 plus 17 is 37. Alright, now this one is just 7 points. Because I didn't get a strike or spare. So 37 plus 7, 44. This one is 10 for the spare, plus my next roll is 10 more, so 20. This frame gets me up to 64. This is 10 plus the next 2 rolls. Now this is why it's really great to kind of keep on a good streak and get strikes. So 10 plus 10 plus 10. My next 2 rolls is actually 30. So 94 points. This is 10 plus 10 plus 0. 10 plus the next 2 rolls is only 20. So 94 plus 20 is 114. 10 plus the next 2 is 10 plus 0 plus 8, 18, which is 132. Now this is just a straight up 8. So that brings me to an even 140. This is 10 plus 1 roll, so 17. 157. This is 10 plus my next roll. 10 plus 10 is 20, so 177. And that's my final score. So that is strike, spare, or split. A little bit of a bowling simulator / strategy game. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I hope you get a chance to play it. It is currently in the 2022 Solitaire Print and Play Design Contest. It is also part of the Pencil Sports project on Boardgamegeek as well. Thank you for watching, and I wish you a good day.